Bridgerton season 3 review, or should I say, dearest gentle reader. It's your boy Icon back with a Netflix review for you. This is the season 3 review recap of Bridgerton because season 4 is upon us and we will do reviews for season 4. But right now, I already got my video for my review for season 1. I got my review for season 2, so this is season 3. So before we get started, hit that notification bell, like and or subscribe, and let's see what's going on in jolly old London or England, wherever they are. So, in season 3, so we had the Daphne in season 1 who was looking for love, and then we had Eloise who was not looking for love, and the curveball was we got thrown Anthony, who's the oldest son, because the Bridgertons have like 8 kids. So this particular one, it focuses on the next daughter after Eloise, because Eloise she's in society now, but she didn't find a husband, on purpose. And we're now focused on the next child. So when the season starts, the entire family, because they're waiting for her to put her new gown on because she has to go before the queen, and everybody's there, they're waiting for her, and then I'm sitting here and I'm like, well, who are they waiting for though? Because I was like, somebody's missing. And then they hear some piano playing, like the Viscountess, Kate, she's there, her and the Viscount are there. They hear some piano music playing. They go downstairs, and then there's a girl sitting in the living room playing the piano. And I'm like, who the hell is this? Because I watched the first 2 seasons. I'm pretty sure I know the family. Like, I know every member of the family. I'm like, who the fuck is this playing the piano? And then they're just like, oh, Francesca, how did you get out of your room? You have to meet the queen while you playing the piano. And I'm still sitting here like, who the fuck is this? Like, who the hell is Francesca? Then she was playing the piano. And while she was playing the piano, it dawned on me, because in season 1 and in season 2, when they have the Bridgerton living room and they have all the characters and like all the family members in the living room, there were the daughters, the sons, but there were 3 kids. They were all about the same height. The boy, who's Gregory, the youngest one that just desperately wants to be in high society. And then there was a third girl. She was a little chubby in the cheeks. She had like darkish brown, she was like a brunette, maybe darkish brown hair, a little red, like dark or whatever the case may be. But then I was like, she was always playing the piano. Like every time I saw her, she was playing the piano. And then I'm looking around and I'm like, that girl's not there. I said like the girl with the chubby cheeks that was playing the piano, like I don't see her. She's not in the group. And then I'm looking, and then they kept doing Francesca playing the piano. I was like, ain't no way in hell that's the girl with the chubby cheeks. I was like, oh, hell no. I was like, who the fuck is this? Like, Francesca came out of nowhere. And I guess they that is not the same actress. Like, there's no way in hell that's the same actress. So they must have obviously recast Francesca, I guess, because since season 3 was supposed to center around Francesca, maybe they felt like the girl that they cast in the first 2 seasons, like she still looked a little young and she didn't mature enough, quick enough to be put on TV and brought out into society, so they just recast her. But I was like, ain't no way in hell that's the same girl. I was like, Lord Jesus, Francesca came out of nowhere. So, but the funny thing about Francesca, she's very into her piano playing, and she does want to find a husband, but she desperately wants peace and quiet, because she kept saying that when you live in a house with 8 other people, the noise drives you mad. And she's like, how she desperately just wants quiet and to be able to hear her own voice and to be able to think, and she mostly, like, she relishes in silence. And I'm like, well, if that's the case, why the fuck do you play the piano? She spent the whole scene talking about, like, oh, I just love the silence. Like, I need the quiet, the quiet, the quiet. I'm like, bitch, you play the piano. Like, ain't nothing quiet about that. So she goes before the queen. The queen sees her. The queen is not impressed. And then Lady Umbridge, she brought the queen to Francesca to watch Francesca play the piano. And then when the queen saw her play the piano, she was like, splendid child. She was like, you sparkle like a diamond. And so now Francesca is the diamond of the season. So the queen, she ended up bringing someone overseas specifically for Francesca. And the queen was like, oh, I'm going to make the perfect match, like with these 2, and then you'll relish in my queendom. But then what happened was they brought Francesca to a party. And again, Francesca is not really into the whole party thing. She's not really into like the group thing. She likes her, as they say, she likes her privacy, and she's a little bit more reserved. So when she was at the party, she had all these guys coming up to her, trying to get her number, trying to talk to her. She got a little overwhelmed. She went outside. She was outside. She was just standing outside on the lawn, just staring off into space. And then some black dude walked up, and then he was just like, "Oh," he's like, "Can I stand next to you?" And we just stare off into the space and do nothing. And then she was like, "Okay." And then the two of them just started staring off into space and not doing anything. And they actually bonded over that because just like her, this gentleman, he also relishes in the silence, and he relishes in like peace and quiet. And they even said his family, although they're lords, his family doesn't really go out in society, like they're more reserved. So Francesca kind of saw that as like the perfect match, because she even asked, because she had a conversation, like the way they do this matchmaking thing and bring it to him, it's like the original speed dating. But she had a conversation with one guy, and then the guy was like, "Oh, I wish to have 8 children," and then Francesca almost choked because she was like, "I grew up in a house with 8 children," and she was like, the noise kills me." But the funny thing is, she wants peace and quiet. She relishes in peace and quiet, but she didn't want to have 8 children, but she did say she does want to have children, and she plays the piano. So I'm like, so you want kids and you play the piano? I'm like, where's the peace and quiet? Where's the peace and quiet come from? So that's it. But that was her whole thing. And when she met this guy, I believe his name was John, she was just like, yo, he's the perfect match. The queen didn't like that because the queen picked someone for her, but because she ended up liking John, the queen was just like, I don't know about this match. She was a little, because they felt John was kind of like beneath, like a little like lower on the totem pole, and then they didn't want to like besmirch the queen's choice of picking like another guy. But then, even like the mom, she was just kind of like, I don't know about this John character. And then Francesca even said to her, she was like, "Mother," she's like, "there's nothing wrong with him." She's like, "I love him." She was like, he's my soulmate. I wish to marry him. But then she told her mom, she was just like, "I know you and father met, you fell in love, like your wedding was a wedding of love." But she told her mom, she said, not every situation can be like this big grand like love novel. Daphne and Simon in season one, they had this whole thing about, pretending, to court each other, and then they fell in love. Anthony and Kate, the two of them hated each other, and then they ended up falling in love. Francesca's whole thing was like, "Hey, I like him, he likes me, let's just get married." And then everybody was kind of like, "Well, damn, we still got 7 more seasons to go." But then, but then Francesca was like, every romance can't be like this whole big thing. She was like, sometimes you just like somebody, y'all fall in love, and that's it. She was like, there doesn't have to be like this whole grand thing. And I agree with that. The problem is we still got 7 more episodes to go. So since Francesca basically made her match in like the first episode, we had to focus our attention to somewhere else, which brings us to Penelope and Colin. So Francesca was like the red herring, but the actual couple drama that's taking place is between Colin and between Penelope, because Penelope's whole thing is, I didn't know she's been in society for 3 years, because when we met Penelope in season 1, I didn't think she was that old. But apparently she was just like, she's been in society for 3 years and she can't find a husband. Colin comes back, and then Colin was just like, "I'll help you find a husband." So Colin's trying to like teach her how to be more assertive, how to have more confidence, how to basically like have the charisma to land a husband. And then the thing with that is, he spent so much time trying to help her find a husband, his feelings for her ended up growing. So she met this guy. The gentleman that she met, he has like a great estate. He has a big fortune. But the thing with him was, he was a vegetarian and a vegan, and he didn't like killing animals. He was a nature buff. Everybody thought that was weird. He was courting Penelope because he saw Penelope as someone that could run his estate, because he said that in his pursuit of saving animals and wildlife, he travels a lot. So he needs a wife that can stay home and take care of the estate and everything. Penelope was just like, well, shit, this is as good as it's going to get for me. So I might as well take my chance. And then when she tried to take her chance on him, Colin got jealous. And let's just be 100% honest here. The problem with Penelope, it's not her personality. It's not her how she looks in the face, because she's a very pretty woman. The thing is, let's just call a spade, because they were going around saying like, "Oh, she'll never find somebody. She'll never find a match. Like, nobody will want her. She'll be with her mother forever." Like, basically, what they're the girl fat. Like, let's just keep it real. Let's just say what it is. The girl is fat, and because she's fat, nobody thinks she can find a man. So when she found this dude, she kind of took it as like, this is my only chance, and I need to take it. And I said, then Colin got all up in his feelings. And then she was like, oh, why do you even care? Because last season you told everybody that you would die before you courted me. And then he was like, no, he was like, seeing you with another man made me realize my feelings for you. And then her and Colin ended up making out. And then the two of them got together. And then they ended up, getting engaged. They confessed their love for each other. And then they did the deed. Like, they did the deed. And then they announced to everybody that they were going to get married. Now, here's the problem. The villain of the season is a girl named Krista Kappa. And she was on her third year, too. And she's actually a very beautiful girl, but the problem is she can't find a husband because she's a bitch. So let's just call it spade a spade. Like, her attitude sucks. Like, she's mean to everybody, and she's real shitty. Penelope, all 3 seasons, she has been an anonymous gossip column writer named Lady Whistledown. And she's been writing things about every single person in town, sharing all the gossip and everything, and to the dismemberment of even the queen. So the queen was on a mission to try to unmask Lady Whistledown to find out who she really is. The problem now is we got to the point where Krista Kappa, because she couldn't find a husband, her father was going to set her up with one of his colleagues, which was like some old guy in like his 70s. She didn't want to do that. And then when she found out that when the queen put a bounty out that said if Lady Whistledown comes forward or if somebody finds, brings Lady Whistledown to me, I'll give them like 500,000 pounds or something. Basically, you get a reward. So she decided in order to keep from marrying her father's picked person, she lied and told everybody that she was Lady Whistledown. And then when she told everybody she was Lady Whistledown, Eloise found out, and then Eloise was talking to Penelope, and she was like, oh, you're marrying my brother. You better tell Colin that you're the true Lady Whistledown and everything. And then after a while, they was like, fuck it, don't say nothing, let that girl take the fall. But Penelope was like, no. She was like, Lady Whistledown belongs to me. And then she was like, I'm not gonna let her have it. Krista Kappa wrote like a gossip column thing, basically like trashing the Bridgertons, which her mother wrote for her. But then Penelope wrote one. She was like, dearest Rita, she was like, oh, Krista Kappa is a fraud, and I'm the true Lady Whistledown. So now Krista Kappa, like, she got cast out of society. So in her attempt to try to like flee town, because she was just like, look, she's like, it's been 3 years, I can't get a husband, nobody wants me. She was just trying to get some money and dip. When she was going around to different, like printing publications, trying to find out who printed the Lady Whistledown column, because she was going to try to steal the money that they owed Lady Whistledown, she found out that Penelope was actually Lady Whistledown. So then she goes to Penelope, and then she's just like, oh, she's like, she's like, basically she told her, she's like, I'm going to ransom you. She's like, if you don't give me 5,000 pounds, I'll tell everybody who you really are. And then Colin found out that she was Lady Whistledown because he followed her when she went to go publish the retraction against Krista Kappa. When Colin found out that Penelope was Lady Whistledown, he was like, oh, I'm going to marry your fraud. And he was like, oh, I can't look at you. And then he got mad. And then the two of them, like, they weren't talking for a while. But then when Krista Kappa tried to blackmail her, he was like, nobody blackmails my wife, even though I'm not speaking with her at the moment. And then it got to the point where they were at a party, and then they were at the Featherton's party, and then that's when Penelope came up with the idea where she's like, I'm just going to tell the queen who I really am. She's like, I'm going to humble myself before the queen. I'm going to beg for her forgiveness, tell everybody who I really am. And this way, like, our family gets, gets spared all the shame and the burdens and all this other stuff. And the queen accepted it because she felt like, because she unmasked Lady Whistledown, the queen felt like that she won. She was just like, oh, she's like, Lady Whistledown works for me now. And then she was like, I won't throw you in jail, Miss Penelope. But she was like, you can continue to write your gossip. Because she was just like, oh, who doesn't love a bit of gossip? But she felt good about herself because she felt like she won that shit. So, and then after that, Krista Kappa ended up with nothing. And then she got shipped off to the middle of nowhere to go live with her aunt because she couldn't find a husband and she was kind of useless. Colin and, Penelope, basically they eventually like, made up, and then they, everything was good. Francesca ended up marrying John and like, and everything was all hunky-dory. But because the season was basically not so much about Francesca, because her situation was basically cut and dry, and because it was more about Colin and Penelope, we focused more on side characters. So like right out the gate, the black people, there's a black couple on this show where the husband, he used to be a boxer, then he owned a nightclub. Him and his wife have 3 children together. Their oldest son, he's the heir of the Kent fortune because the wife, her family is rich. And when the aunt or the grandmother, whoever passed away, she left everything to her oldest son. So her oldest son is gonna become the new Duke of Kent, like, or the Lord of Kent or something like that. Basically, the son's basically gonna inherit the family fortune. So they went from being like sponsoring boxing fights to owning a nightclub to now they're in high society with everybody else. And I was like, good for them. It's nice to see the black people win. But the Bridgerton mother, she ended up meeting the brother of Lady Umbridge. She ended up meeting her brother. And I'm gonna say this. First, you have Daphne who fell in love with Simon. Then you had Kate. Then you had Anthony that fell in love with Kate. Then you had Francesca that fell in love with John. I mean, aside from Colin and Penelope, now that the mom is interested in the brother, is it just me or does the Bridgerton family have a thing for black people? Like, do the Bridgertons have a thing for brown and black people? Like, when the Bridgerton family goes into Popeyes, clearly they order the dark meat. Because Colin is the only person who's married someone that's not brown, and I'm just like, I just chuckled with that. I just thought that was funny, but but I said, but so now like the mom is kind of like dating Lady Umbridge's, like brother. The two of them had a thing, and then she was just like you betrayed me, and he was like, I did not, sister, and then they made up or whatever. But Anthony and Kate ended up having a baby. At the end of the season, the Featherins all had babies, and the two older sisters had girls, and then Penelope had a boy, so she got the Featherin fortune, and then everybody's happy. And that was pretty much it. Francesca ended up going to Scotland with her husband, but then Eloise asked if she could come with them because she was like, I would just love to get away from here, and just go with you. And they were just like, okay, fine. And like I said, they shitted on Krista Kappa. She didn't end up with shit. She got cast out of society. She didn't win or nothing. So I said, but it was actually pretty cool because it was a curveball. Because when I saw the season, I was just like, okay, so this whole season is going to be about Francesca and this black dude. But then it actually wasn't, because when Francesca was like, look, like every romance can't be this whole big thing. And she was like, this one's kind of cut and dry. I was like, oh shit. I was like, so who we going to focus on? And it ended up being, it ended up being about Penelope and ended up being about Colin. And Lady Whistledown has now been unmasked, and now she works for the Queen. We'll see how all this unfolds in season 4 of Bridgerton. That was how this particular season 3 ended, and thank you for tuning in. So I definitely enjoyed it. I was very wowed by Francesca. I mean, I love me some Daphne, but I think Francesca looked better than Daphne. I'm actually interested in the youngest child, because this girl has been pining to enter high society since this show started. And I can't wait for season 4 when she maybe finally does enter high society, and then because this girl gonna go wild. This girl she's trying to be all up in the mix and everything. Watch she be the first person that falls in love with like one of the servants. That's gonna be it. But share your questions, comments, and concerns down below. Let me know what you thought about Bridgerton season 3 and where things go from there, because Benedict isn't married yet. The two kids are in Eloise, they're still not married, so there's still 4 children, so they can still make. We're in season 4, and there's 4 more members of the family to go that still haven't got married yet. So this shit can keep going until the show could have 8 seasons. But we'll see what happens in season 4, and I look forward to bringing that to all of you. For you Marvel fans, I got Wonder Man coming up on my channel soon, because Marvel put out that Wonder Man, and I'm gonna keep doing Bridgerton season 4. I got a fashion show coming up, pretty soon, and also for you wrestling fans, I got the Royal Rumble coming up. So keep it locked for Red Eyes Entertainment right here. So that's it, guys. So until next time, gentle reader, take care, and until season 4 of Bridgerton, we're out this bitch.